Welcome to today's broadcast, where we tackle a profoundly transformative question. The motion before us is both complex and highly pertinent in our digital age. Should cryptocurrencies replace traditional cash as currency? This isn't merely a technological query. It strikes at the heart of our economic systems and societal structures. To navigate this intricate landscape, we have two distinguished guests offering contrasting perspectives. Representing the case for adoption is Mr. Alex Thompson, a prominent tech entrepreneur and a fervent advocate for blockchain technology. Challenging this view is Ms. Isabella Rossi, a respected economist with deep experience in central banking and financial stability. Our format today will include opening statements from each guest, followed by rebuttals, a moderated discussion, and concluding remarks. Let's begin this crucial conversation.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. The proposition that cryptocurrencies should replace cash isn't radical. It's the logical progression of money in an inherently digital civilization. We stand at the cusp of a significant paradigm shift. Traditional financial systems, burdened by legacy infrastructure, are inefficient and exclusionary. Consider the delays and exorbitant fees associated with international remittances, a lifeline for millions. Cryptocurrencies offer a pathway to frictionless commerce. Through peer-to-peer transactions, we can achieve near-instantaneous settlement, drastically reducing costs by eliminating layers of intermediaries. This isn't just convenience, it's economic empowerment. Furthermore, the potential for financial inclusion is immense. Billions remain unbanked or underbanked globally, lacking access to basic financial services. Cryptocurrencies, accessible via ubiquitous mobile technology, can bridge this gap, offering genuine financial sovereignty. The decentralized nature of many cryptocurrencies mitigates the risks associated with single points of failure inherent in centralized systems controlled by governments or traditional banks. This disintermediation fosters resilience and reduces systemic vulnerabilities. Beyond mere transactions, blockchain technology unlocks unprecedented innovation. Programmable money and smart contracts pave the way for decentralized finance, or DeFi, offering novel financial instruments and automated agreements, far surpassing the capabilities of traditional cash. We are moving beyond simply digitizing existing financial rails. We are fundamentally reimagining how value is exchanged and managed. Embracing cryptocurrencies is embracing a more efficient, inclusive, and innovative financial future.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. While I acknowledge the technological ingenuity behind cryptocurrencies, advocating for their wholesale replacement of traditional cash overlooks fundamental flaws and introduces unacceptable systemic risks. The most glaring issue is extreme volatility. A currency's primary functions are to serve as a stable store of value and a reliable medium of exchange. Cryptocurrencies, with their wild price fluctuations, demonstrably fail this crucial test, rendering them unsuitable for everyday transactions or long-term savings. Claims of efficiency often ignore the significant scalability challenges. Major cryptocurrencies currently process a mere fraction of the transactions handled by established networks like Visa or MasterCard. Widespread adoption would lead to crippling network congestion and potentially higher, unpredictable fees. Security is another paramount concern. While the underlying blockchain might be secure, users face pervasive threats from sophisticated hacking, phishing scams, and the inherent complexities of self-custody. Losing your private keys means losing your assets irreversibly, a risk unacceptable for the average citizen. The existing regulatory vacuum is deeply problematic. It facilitates regulatory arbitrage and enables illicit activities, including money laundering and terrorist financing, on a significant scale. Moreover, the lack of robust consumer protection frameworks leaves individuals exposed to fraud and market manipulation without adequate recourse. We must also confront the staggering environmental cost. The energy consumption associated with proof-of-work consensus mechanisms, particularly Bitcoins, is unsustainable and runs counter to global climate objectives. This external cost cannot be simply wished away. Finally, replacing cash with crypto risks deepening the digital divide. It would inevitably exclude vulnerable populations lacking reliable internet access, digital literacy, or the necessary hardware, thereby exacerbating socioeconomic inequalities rather than alleviating them. Prudence demands caution, not a leap into the unknown. Mr. Thompson paints an optimistic picture of financial inclusion, but the reality is far more nuanced. Currently, cryptocurrency adoption is disproportionately concentrated among existing tech-savvy investors, not the genuinely unbanked populations who often lack the basic infrastructure or digital literacy required. The theoretical potential remains largely unrealized. The promise of consistently low transaction costs is frequently undermined by reality. During periods of high network activity, transaction fees, often termed gas fees on platforms like Ethereum, can skyrocket, making small transactions uneconomical. Furthermore, the inherent volatility means the value transferred can fluctuate significantly, even during the transaction period itself. The notion of pure decentralization is often more myth than reality. Significant power concentrates in the hands of large mining pools, influential developers, and major centralized exchanges, creating new forms of centralization and control, albeit different from traditional structures. Ultimately, navigating the complexities of private key management, wallet security, and avoiding sophisticated scams presents a formidable barrier and significant risk for the average user compared to the regulated, insured, and relatively user-friendly environment of traditional banking. The burden of security is shifted entirely onto the individual.
Ms. Rossi raises valid points about current challenges, but framing them as insurmountable ignores the rapid pace of innovation in this space. Volatility, while present, is characteristic of any nascent asset class. Furthermore, the emergence and growing adoption of stablecoins, pegged to traditional currencies, directly address the need for stability in everyday transactions. Scalability limitations are actively being tackled through technological advancements, like Layer 2 scaling solutions and sidechains, which promise significantly higher throughput and lower fees. Similarly, the environmental concerns associated with proof-of-work are being addressed by the widespread shift towards more energy-efficient consensus mechanisms like proof-of-stake. To suggest crypto is uniquely susceptible to illicit use ignores the fact that traditional cash remains the preferred medium for much criminal activity due to its anonymity. The inherent transparency of public blockchains, conversely, can provide powerful tools for forensic analysis and tracking illicit flows, potentially aiding law enforcement efforts. While the traditional system offers familiarity, let's not forget its own significant issues with exclusion, inefficiency, and susceptibility to censorship or political interference. Cryptocurrencies offer a fundamentally different architecture. One, prioritizing user control and open access. The challenges are being solved. The potential remains transformative.
Thank you both for those insightful rebuttals. Let's delve deeper. Ms. Rossi, you highlighted regulatory gaps. Given the borderless nature of cryptocurrencies, how feasible is effective, globally coordinated regulation? Isn't there always a risk of regulatory arbitrage?
That's precisely the challenge, Dr. Reed. Achieving global consensus on regulation is notoriously difficult. While international bodies like the Financial Action Task Force, FATF, set standards, implementation varies wildly. Jurisdictions with lax oversight inevitably attract illicit actors, undermining stricter regimes elsewhere. It requires unprecedented international cooperation, which historically proves elusive.
While challenging, it's not impossible. We're seeing progress with frameworks like MiCA in Europe. Technology itself can aid regulation. Blockchain transparency allows for monitoring illicit flows in ways cash never could. The focus should be on regulating the on-ramps and off-ramps, the exchanges, rather than attempting to control the decentralized protocols themselves. Cooperation will grow as the asset class matures.
Mr. Thompson, you mentioned proof of stake as an environmental solution. Ms. Rossi, are you convinced by the environmental credentials and the security implications of these alternative consensus mechanisms compared to the battle-tested, albeit energy-intensive, proof of work?
Proof of stake certainly consumes less energy, which is a positive step. However, it introduces different potential centralizing forces, where wealth concentration, owning more stake, translates directly into network control. Furthermore, the long-term security and robustness of these newer mechanisms under sustained attack are less proven than proof of work's decade-plus track record. It trades one set of concerns for another.
The theoretical concerns about centralization in proof of stake are often overstated. Mechanisms like delegated staking and liquid staking distribute influence. Moreover, the economic incentives are designed to penalize bad actors heavily, quote, slashing, unquote. It's a constantly evolving field, but POS represents a viable, sustainable path forward, already securing billions in value across major networks.
An interesting middle ground emerging is central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs. Ms. Rossi, do these offer the benefits of digital currency without the risks you associate with cryptocurrencies? Or do they introduce new concerns, perhaps around privacy or state control?
CBDCs could potentially enhance payment efficiency and maintain monetary sovereignty in a digital age. However, they absolutely raise different significant concerns. The potential for granular state surveillance of all transactions and the programmability of money, allowing governments to restrict certain purchases or expire funds, poses serious questions about privacy and individual autonomy. It's a delicate balance.
CBDCs essentially represent the digitalization of state control over finance, the antithesis of the decentralization ethos driving cryptocurrencies. While potentially more efficient than current systems, they lack the censorship resistance, permissionless nature, and potential for genuine user sovereignty that makes crypto compelling. They risk amplifying the power of central authorities, not diminishing it.
Let's turn to the user experience. Mr. Thompson, you advocate for self-custody, but Ms. Rossi raised concerns about its complexity and risk for non-experts. How can crypto truly replace cash if managing it securely remains so challenging for the average person?
User experience is improving rapidly. We're seeing more intuitive wallets and better security abstractions. Just as early internet usage required technical knowledge, interfaces evolve. Furthermore, regulated custodial solutions will coexist, offering users a choice between full sovereignty and convenience with trusted intermediaries, much like choosing between holding cash and using a bank.
While interfaces may improve, the fundamental risk of irreversible loss through error or theft remains vastly higher with self-custody than with regulated banking, where deposit insurance and fraud protections exist. Relying on custodial solutions reintroduces the very intermediaries crypto claims to eliminate, along with counterparty risk. It's not a straightforward improvement for mass adoption.
One final point often raised by proponents, Mr. Thompson, is crypto as a hedge against inflation or government monetary policy. Is this a legitimate function, or simply speculative fervor?
For assets like Bitcoin, with a provably finite supply, the potential as a hedge against currency debasement is a core part of its value proposition. In countries experiencing hyperinflation or capital controls, cryptocurrencies have already served as a vital tool for preserving wealth and enabling transactions when traditional systems fail. It offers an escape valve from potentially mismanaged monetary policy.
Calling it a reliable hedge is problematic, given its extreme volatility. An asset that can lose 50% of its value in weeks hardly qualifies as a safe haven. Its price movements are often correlated with risk assets, undermining its diversification benefits. While it might serve niche use cases in failed states, its utility as a broad inflation hedge for typical economies is highly questionable and largely driven by speculative narratives. In conclusion, While the technological underpinnings of cryptocurrency are fascinating, the proposal to replace traditional cash is fraught with peril. We've discussed the inherent, debilitating volatility that undermines its function as reliable money, the persistent scalability issues, significant security risks for average users, and the vast, unsustainable energy consumption of dominant protocols like Bitcoin cannot be dismissed as mere teething problems. They represent fundamental obstacles to widespread, safe adoption. Furthermore, the pervasive regulatory gaps continue to facilitate illicit finance and leave consumers dangerously exposed. Replacing a system built on trust, stability, and prudential oversight, however imperfect, with one characterized by anonymity, instability, and regulatory arbitrage, would be profoundly irresponsible. While innovations like CBDCs warrant careful consideration, they too carry risks. The answer lies not in abandoning the foundations of our monetary system for a speculative and volatile alternative, but in cautiously evolving our existing infrastructure, prioritizing financial stability, consumer protection, and the integrity of our economy above all else. Prudence must prevail.
Thank you. While Ms. Rossi highlights valid challenges, viewing them as insurmountable roadblocks reflects a resistance to necessary evolution. Cryptocurrencies offer tangible benefits, unprecedented efficiency in transactions, particularly cross-border, the potential for genuine financial inclusion on a global scale, and a powerful engine for financial innovation through smart contracts and DeFi. The issues of volatility, scalability, and energy consumption are actively being addressed by a vibrant global community of developers. Stablecoins mitigate price swings for transactions. Layer 2 solutions are enhancing throughput, and proof of stake offers a sustainable consensus model. These are engineering challenges, not fundamental disqualifiers. Regulation is evolving, and the transparency of blockchains offers new tools to combat illicit activity more effectively than opaque cash transactions. The core value proposition remains, empowering individuals with greater control over their assets and fostering a more open, permissionless, and resilient financial system, less susceptible to the failures and controls inherent in centralized legacy structures. Replacing cash isn't about discarding stability. It's about embracing a technologically superior infrastructure for the digital age. It requires navigating hurdles, yes, but the destination, a more efficient, inclusive, and decentralized financial future, is worth the journey. Let us not allow fear of the new prevent us from building the necessary.
And with that, our time concludes. My sincere thanks to Mr. Alex Thompson and Ms. Isabella Rossi for an exceptionally rigorous and enlightening debate on a truly pivotal question for our financial future. We've heard compelling arguments highlighting the tension between embracing potentially disruptive innovation and the imperative to safeguard financial stability and consumer protection. Thank you to our audience